And hello, 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 hello. Welcome back, y'all. It's Dr. Dwayne Wood. And I'm just excited because I get to do a check-in, y'all. I am at 29 hours maybe of my fast. This is our fourth week of doing our 72-hour fast. As we are moving through the year, new year, new you, right? New year, new year. Where is that? That's up here somewhere, right? And it's also down here over at this side. New year, new you. And so what is new year, new you? What does that mean? So specifically what we are doing, what I'm doing is this year, I'm giving a challenge. And the challenge is this: for adults with type 2 diabetes, how can we decrease the amount of medication that you're on? How can we eliminate some of the medication you're on? How can we put your diabetes in remission? And over the course of the year, we're going to be getting some tools. We're going to be having some conversations about what you can do, what we can do to achieve those goals. So strap in, and follow along. One of the things I've been doing is the fasting, right? So the very first tool that we learned as we moved into this year was fasting. If you've not done so yet, go back. You can watch that initial video that we did. That was now 2 weeks ago, I believe. The very first week, we set the stage for what we needed to do. What is our why? What's the reason why we want to be healthy, why we want to control our blood sugars, right? Some people have some financial reasons. People have some reasons they've had some complications that they want to try to improve. They may have some diseases, some situations, some other conditions that are related to diabetes, like polycystic ovarian syndrome, metabolic syndrome. They may have had a heart attack, coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all of those, and of course, obesity, right? So being overweight, all of those are associated with and related to prediabetes and diabetes. And in particular, we are trying to decrease the amount of insulin that our body either produces or the insulin that we are giving, right? Whether they're medications that cause that or if we're actually taking insulin itself. Our last show that we did just this past Monday talked about medications that we should try to get off of. And we're going to be walking through the process through the rest of the year on the things that we need to do. But fasting is a fascinating tool. It is a free tool. It is an amazing tool that helps us begin to set the stage to achieve all the things I just mentioned, all the disease processes, all the conditions I just mentioned, and many, many more that we will talk about as we get into the year. But diabetes is a problem of insulin. And so the very first thing that we want to do is we want to be able to decrease the insulin, because if we can do that, not only do we improve the diabetes itself, but all the other things that insulin does begins to improve. And what better way to improve the amount of insulin that the body takes or decrease the amount that you have to give by not creating a situation where the blood sugars are so high that we have to either use insulin or take medications that produce insulin, or that the body is not forced to make more insulin. And that's the trend, that's the trek that we've been doing. And my challenge to everyone has been to, wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, to begin using fasting as one of those tools. And so I'm doing a check-in right now. I have been doing a 72-hour fast. That's right, a 72-hour fast. And my challenge has not been for you to get to do 72 hours, but for you to stretch yourself to get to at least 24. So the way that I've recommended that is let me back up. So most of us, for at least 7, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 hours of the day, we don't eat. You know when that is? That is when we are sleeping. Okay? And so if that's the case, if we're trying to get to 24 hours of fasting, then what I'm advising is add 2 hours. So wherever you find yourself, if you normally sleep right? And you don't eat for those 8 hours, and then you get up and you have breakfast. Well, extend that time of maybe 2 hours. Instead of eating at 8 o'clock, eat at 10 o'clock. If you normally don't eat for 10 hours, extend that to 12 hours. If you normally don't eat for 14 hours, extend that to 16 hours. And 2 hours at a time until you are able to fast. That is, not take anything in with calories for 24 hours. This is not a dry fast, so we are taking in fluids because we want to maintain hydration. There are some benefits of dry fasting, which is where you're not taking anything at all. That is not what we're talking about right now. We're going to be doing a wet fast or a fast with fluids. The reason for 24 hours, the reason that we want to get to 24 hours is that the body does not start to burn stored energy at least until 24 hours. When you eat food, some of that food gets used for your heart, for your lungs, for your bones, for your muscles, for the things that we need to do to live and just go about our business, right? Our daily activities. Some of the energy gets used for that. Some of the energy gets stored in our liver in the form of glycogen. And then any excess energy that we take in, right, those extra calories, they get shuttled away into the fat cells. Well, it takes about 18 to 24 hours for the body to use up the energy that's being used for helping you breathe and for moving and for the heart and all those essential things. And then within the liver, the amount of storage, the glycogen that it has, that can stay up until about 24 hours on average. Some people a little bit more, some people a little less, but on average about 24 hours. So it does not, the body, change into burning fat until the glycogen in the liver is gone. And that stays there, like I said, about 24 hours. So 24 hours is at the point where the body is just now getting ready to burn fat. Now, what does that mean? That means that that's the point at which the blood sugars have come down so much that the insulin levels have dropped. And the body now is forced to have to go find energy elsewhere. And we begin to get several things. Number one, if you can follow that process, we begin to get some weight loss, right? Because now the body has to go and burn the calories that are stored in the fat cells. And weight begins to go down. Number two, because we've been fasting, the blood sugars are dropping. And if the blood sugars are going down, the body doesn't have to produce insulin. If it doesn't produce insulin, insulin is a growth factor. Once again, supporting the weight loss that we will see. Insulin also makes you hungry. So the appetite begins to improve. Those ravaging times where you are like famished, you feel like, oh, I can't get through this. I've got to have that. You got that craving, right? That begins to go down, begins to dissipate. If we're decreasing our insulin, then all the associated things that come with insulin, high blood pressure, fatty liver, obesity, polycystic ovarian syndrome, all those things begin to improve, y'all. Yep. And then there's a host of other things that we will talk about as we get into the course of the next weeks and months and so forth. But there's an amazing ability that we have that is free, y'all. Free. Fasting is free. You don't have to buy anything. You just don't eat. In fact, you save some money on the food, right? All right. So I am right now at about 29 hours. Actually, this is coming up 29, maybe almost 30. Right. So started fasting at 6:45 yesterday. And so 6:45 this evening was 24 hours. And we're moving now into beyond that. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what my numbers are. We'll show you my monitor. I'll show you my continuous glucose monitors. And as you know, I actually have two of them on. I have one, maybe you can see that right there, and then another one over on this side. The one here is actually coming off, so I need to go ahead and get this so you can see it. And then I have to change that here in just a few minutes. But it looks like I think I hit it on something. All right. But it's still recording data. So that's good. But I can feel that it's not secure right now. Okay. So yes, I'm going to show you those monitors. I'm going to actually pull up a big graph and we'll kind of go through several of the days leading up to today and where my blood sugars have been. Also, I'm going to share with you, as you guys are aware, we do our, let me pull this up here. I've got my glucose monitor, glucose and ketone monitor. So we'll do that here on air so you could see what that is. And then we'll also share where our weight is as we began this fast, and then what we're doing. We'll kind of give a check-in as we go through the rest of the next couple of days. Okay, so let's, why don't we do this? I'm going to, why don't we start here? So this is my Dexcom, and the Dexcom right now is saying that my blood sugar is 89. So once again, this is after 29 hours of not eating. And if you didn't see yet, go back and watch the video that we posted today, and you'll see when I started that, you'll see what I ate. What my blood sugars were at the time. So this is what my Dexcom says I am, and here is my Libre. And as you have been noticing and realizing as I've been doing these check-ins, that the Dexcom and the Libre are, the numbers are not exactly the same, right? So for me, they're close enough. Sometimes people get a little antsy when they see the difference. But most meters, most continuous monitors, glucose meters, and so forth, they can be within 20% different, or they can be 20% different from each other. Okay, so that's probably what you're seeing there. So 75 for the Libre, and once again 89 for the Dexcom. Okay, and let me hop over and let's just go ahead and right now we'll do our glucose keto meter. And let me pop this over here. And why don't we start with the glucose strip, and we'll put that into the monitor. Okay. Now there are several monitors on the market, y'all, that do check ketones. We have no connection to the manufacturer for this one, but it was one that I saw that someone I follow uses, and I really liked it, and I did some research, and so I got it. So we'll go ahead and get that drop of blood there, and we'll massage, because we'll need another drop of blood here in a minute. So 86, and you see that's similar to what my Dexcom is showing, because the Dexcom was showing, well, 90 right now. Okay. All right, so we'll take that strip out, get our other strip in, and this is the ketone strip right now. Go ahead and get that drop of blood onto that strip, and within a few seconds there we'll have a number for ketones. Okay, and right now we're at 1.6. Let me hop over to the app, and that will suck those numbers in, and then it'll give us the glucose ketone index, or GKI. And so for ketones, right? And let me show you the graph. So right now glucose is 86. My ketones are 1.6, and we usually say for nutritional ketosis, right? Nutritional ketosis, that is people who are attempting to stay in a ketogenic state, right? So you've heard of the keto diet, and people track their urine or they track their ketones. They eat a low carb, very low carb diet so they can force their body to use ketones. And for nutritional ketosis, usually we want the ketones to be between 0.5-ish to maybe 1.5. So 0.5 to 1.5. And right now I'm at 1.6, right? So that is getting into, the term and the different phrases. So therapeutic ketosis. And we'll define those at a later date. But let me hop over and show you the graph. So let's see. So if you look at these numbers, you'll notice that my blood sugar, which is that kind of tan line at the top, has been, let's see, did it ever go above, I think what's the highest there? 134, right? 134 for this past, since I fasted this last time, right? So I broke the fast right about here. And that's when we were 5.9 with ketones, and you see the blood sugar down there was like 62. And as I've eaten since I fasted, so ended the fast last Friday. This is now Saturday morning at 12:30. Actually, this was when I was breaking the fast. And as I ate, the blood sugars went up and up and up. They peaked there at 134, and I kind of kept them below 134, sometimes down to 103. And notice that what happened, the ketones, which is the turquoise line down at the bottom, the ketones continued to drop as the blood sugars got lower and lower and lower. I mean, higher and higher, right? So this is a good point. So the body cannot at the same time burn both ketones and glucose, right? For the most part, that's the general statement. So if I have enough sugar on board, if I have enough glucose in my body, then it's not going to burn ketones. And if I have too much ketones, it's not going to burn sugar. So it has to choose one or the other. And the signal that it uses is insulin, or insulin is one of the signalers. Okay. So if my insulin is high, insulin says to the body, hey, let's not burn ketones. Let's go ahead and let's use sugar, because we're trying to get those blood sugars down, and we're trying to store some of the excess. But as the blood sugars go down and the insulin levels drop, then the body begins to say, hey, I've got to get energy. I still have to survive. I still have to move. I still have to breathe. And I've got to find energy somewhere else. And now it begins to burn fat. And in the process of burning fat, we get those ketones. Okay. And so if we look back at this graph, we'll see as I have been fasting. So let's see, where is this? This is Tuesday at about 7 o'clock, right? So I started the fast at 6:45 on Tuesday. And so as my blood sugars have been coming down, right, dropping, right, 1.116, and then 98 earlier this evening, and then down here to 89. You'll see that as the blood sugars have come down, the ketones, which are down here, begin rising, right? 0.8, and then of course now 1.6, which is what we would expect. So let me come over here, and I want to do some talking about the graph of where my blood sugars have been. So this is Dexcom. This is the Dexcom report, and you'll see my average blood sugar over the last 14 days has been 108, and then my glucose. Actually, let me do this so I can point, and so you could see what I'm pointing at. Let's see, where's that? There we are. Okay. All right. So you'll see here blood sugars. My average blood sugar is 108, and that's for the last 14 days. Okay. This report allows me to go back further, but I tend, when I'm talking to patients, to look over the last 14 days, last 2 weeks, because whatever's been going on, it gives me a representation right now of where they currently are. Now, if we do see that there are things that we've got to discuss, or there have been fluctuations or something that I don't understand, we'll go back and look at a graph or this report for longer, because sometimes people's their blood sugars right now are great, or their blood sugars right now are not so good. And I say, well, hey, wait a minute, your A1C, right, which is a marker of 90 days, does not match what your blood sugar is. And they say, oh yeah, a month ago or a month and a half ago, I hurt my back, and so I was laid up, and so I couldn't exercise. Or my doctor put me on some antibiotics or some prednisone or steroids, and the steroids caused my blood sugars to go up. So sometimes we'll have to kind of be a detective to figure out why there's some difference between the A1C and blood sugars, or even as patients are talking about fluctuations that they've had, we go back to see, hey, if we can decipher what's been going on. All right. So back to this. So average blood sugar 108 for the last 14 days. The glucose management index, right, which is, I can't say the phrase that it's an estimate of the A1C, but for all intents and purposes, that's what it represents. Right? It says that it's 5.9. If I go back to my meter, and I'm going to go back and look at the Dexcom, and let's see if I can. Okay, here we are. Right. So over the last 90 days, right, and this is showing 90 days, it says that my glucose management index is 6.5. Okay. If I go to 30 days, and it'll take a minute to collect that data, and it'll give us some information here in just a sec. But on the, and I can do that here on the report as well. I can do, 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 90 days. It'll take it a minute there to kind of get all that data, and I'll show you once I get it. So if this trend continues, then it's estimating that my A1C may be about a 5.9. That's that number you see right there. Okay. And then the other thing I look at is I look to see time in range, right? That is, how much time are we spending between the range, the target that we've set. And the target that we've set, generally speaking, is between 70 to 180. If you're one of my patients, one of my clients, one of the people that I talk with, you know that I tell people I want your blood sugars to range between 100 and 120. So a little tighter control there. And okay, so now my report has come up, and it says for 30 days, 6.5 on average. Okay. All right. And then let's jump down and let me see, maybe go to this report. So this is a report that gives me each of these boxes down here is one 24-hour period. So this is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I usually start my fast on a Tuesday evenings, right? So right about here. And then I fast on Wednesday. I fast on Thursday. I fast on Friday, and I usually break my fast right about here. Okay. So let's hop back up, and let's do a daily graph. Let's take a look at these guys. All right. So today is the 24th. Well, actually, still 24th. Yeah, 25th now. But that's okay. And so started the fast right out here. Right about 6:45, and you'll see what my blood sugar was at the time, about 120. And once again, that's where I tell people I want their blood sugar to be. So about 120. And for the rest of the evening, we kind of straddled that, right? So 120, 125. And then coming into the next morning, here we are, 120. This is Wednesday morning, 120, 120, 120. And haven't eaten anything, right? So there was a spike right up here, and people will say, well, hey, wait a minute, what happened? Why did it spike up to 140 if you haven't eaten anything? Well, a couple of things are going on, right? So I'm waking up, for one, right? So the body is getting me ready to wake up, and in the morning there are certain hormones that get put into our system to help get us ready for the day. And those hormones are supposed to give us energy. So growth hormone, epinephrine or adrenaline, cortisol, right? So all of those are designed to get you going in the morning. And so it's not uncommon to see a spike based on those hormones in the morning. So sometimes people will say, hey, I don't understand why my blood sugar is high in the morning and I haven't eaten anything all night. I've been sleeping. Well, as I just mentioned before, your body still has stores that it uses. So even if you haven't eaten, I've got 24 hours of sugar still stored in my liver. And that gets dumped out, first of all, when I need it, and then add on top of that these hormones that are getting me ready. So they go and they break down the glycogen in the liver, and so we can see a spike. So you see right there, we had that spike up to 148, and then we start to come back down for the rest of the day. And you'll notice that for the rest of the day, we're going down, right? So there's that downward trend, downward trend, all the way to right about here, and we get another spike. So let's back up here for a sec. So this, right, 646, right? So remember, that's now 24 hours. So 24 hours later, I still have blood sugars of 104. And then I want you to watch 24 hours later. So now the blood sugars are dropping, right? So they're going down, 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 to what we just saw. And so let's see where we are right now. And right now we're at 91. So we will see over the course, right? So 24 hours, right? We'll see kind of some fluctuations, and then we should see when we check in again, we should see those numbers are on a steady decline. We may still see some in the 80s, 90s, but after a while, we'll get those down, and we will see that we'll see that the body is switching over. At that time, we should see that my ketones continue to rise, right? So if you remember, what we just saw was that our ketones 1.6. If I go back and look at, let's see. So today's the 20. So let's take a look at this one. Right? So ketones were 1. And before that, we were 0.7. And I want you to notice what the blood sugar is at that time, right? So blood sugar is 122, and ketones, blood sugar is 122, and ketones were 0.7. So as the blood sugars are higher, the ketones get lower, right? And here's one. Let's see what's going on here. So blood sugar of 109, ketones of 1.1, blood sugar of 103, ketones of 0.9. Okay, but you get the idea. Here's one. So this was definitely not in a fasting stage, right? So blood sugars of 116 and ketones of 0.2. So well below nutritional ketosis. So right now, my body, at that point, my body was not burning any ketones at all. Right, we're talking pure sugar. That's what it's using, sugar and glycogen. All right. So let's go back over here. So that shows you kind of that downward trend for the blood sugars. Now, not to leave anybody out, but let's take a look at this. Is now the Libre report that shows similar things. And here you'll see the average blood sugar for the last 14 days. Average blood sugar of 94, glucose management index of 5.6. We're in target 87% of the time. And we can now begin looking. So once again, each of these boxes is a 24-hour period. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So 7 days on top, 7 days on the bottom. And if I scroll down to look at similar information as we were looking at before, let's start with Tuesday, right? So here's Tuesday, and so Tuesday right around, actually not there, so right, yeah, maybe here. So that's when I started fasting. And throughout the rest of that evening, Tuesday night, And then Wednesday, right, we see we're straddling just like the other, probably 120, 119. And right here, we get that same spike that we had from the Dexcom. And then our blood sugars started dropping. And right here, this is about 24 hours. And this one, unfortunately, I can't show you what the value was at that point because it doesn't keep it on the graph. And then we see the blood sugars are going down. Okay. Actually, it would be interesting to see. Now, these graphs are generated based on the upload, right? So it goes into the cloud. And so sometimes you don't see the most recent because it takes some time to kind of sync. So let's see if we are at a space where we can actually see what the blood sugars are or what that graph looks like now. Let's see. So not much more, right? So that's, yeah. So not much more than we saw before. So still right there at midnight, and it's 12:19 now. So I don't expect to see a whole lot more. In the morning, like if I, as it goes into the morning, I should see more and more data for those blood sugars. All right. So that's what the meters show. That's what the continuous monitors show. That's what my glucose ketone meter shows, right? So that's the data for those things. The other thing that I want to do is I do want to hop over and let's talk a little bit about weight, which is the other big thing that many people are concerned about when it comes to health, right? And so you'll see here over the last week. So this was at the end of my fast, when I broke my fast. And this is what I am today when I checked it this morning, right? So you'll see there probably about 4 pounds, right? But over the course of the month, you'll see that we've had a continual drop. And then over the course of the year, of course, you guys remember, so I've been doing intermittent fasting, right, or time restricted fasting, for years, and then started incorporating the extended fast. And you'll see there in March of last year, and we're coming up on almost a year now, we've gone from 240 down to 198 pounds. So when I say that fasting has lots of benefits, we're talking about blood sugars, we're talking about weight, we're talking about metabolic syndrome, cholesterol issues, blood pressure issues. All of those can improve if we do a good job of managing all the other things that are there. One of the big things, of course, is sugar, right? And one of the things that fasting does is it decreases the amount of sugar that we put in. If we don't take in that much sugar, then we don't have those insulin spikes. And we'll talk about spiking and what effect that has on appetite and so forth. Okay? All right. So that's just our check-in. So the challenge to you is still the challenge that you begin incorporating some fasting in your schedule. And I'm proposing that you extend your non-eating time right now by 2 hours until you can get to 24 hours of fasting. And we're going to do the 24 hours of fasting once a week. Once a week is what I want you to do. I'll continue to show you the information that I have. I'll continue to do what I do, but 24 hours once a week. Because people say, well, why fasting? Well, a lot of people are going on the low carb diet. A lot of people are going on the ketogenic diet, which is a low carb diet. A lot of people are cutting back their calories. They're doing Weight Watchers. They're doing, whatever program you're in. And it is a calorie restrictive diet. Make sense? Yeah, because we're cutting the calories. Well, what better way to cut calories than to not take calories in at all? right? Simple. 24 hours, 24 hours once a week, right? So for 24 hours, no food. It achieves a lot of different things, right? So we're cutting back on calories if that's what you want to do. We are getting to the point where we're just about to begin burning. I shouldn't say just about. So we burn calories. We decrease the insulin. We improve our appetite. We improve our all the other syndromes that are associated with diabetes and prediabetes. It's free. No money. So all those benefits, amazing. So as we're talking about what we want to do as we go into the new year, that is one of the tools that we're going to be using. Okay. And make sure that as you are embarking on this, that you are, of course, checking and consulting with your healthcare provider. You want to make sure that you are spending time talking with them, letting them know what you're doing. Okay. All right. So thank you for hanging out. Catch us tomorrow. We'll do a check-in. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do a 48 hour, and I probably will, but I may do 48 plus hours so that we can see what the blood sugars do after 48 hours as well. And then, of course, as we get into later in 72 hours, we'll do all of that. And we'll talk more about some of the things that I'm going to do to prepare to break the fast. And that's part of what we do. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me. I know for some of you it's late. Get some rest. So let me make those 2 points: rest and hydration. Rest and hydration. Two paramount things that we've got to do as we're embarking on the fasting: getting some good rest and hydration. I need to be sleeping right now. I need to go to sleep and make sure that I am doing what I'm telling you, right? But I wanted to come on and I wanted to do a check-in with you. So that's why I'm here. And of course I work late at night, but getting good rest and remaining hydrated are two very key components in the fast. Anyway, this is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level and create the life you've always wanted. And in this year, y'all, new year, new you. Good night, good morning, good evening. We'll see you later.